Today we're going to be making a healthier version of Pop-Tarts. They're going to be both vegan and gluten-free for those who have gluten intolerances and for those who are just opting for a vegan option. The recipe is going to be really simple. We're just going to need 4 cups of oat flour. The way that I made my oat flour was just by using regular oats and blending them until they're in powder consistency. You can, if you really need them to be gluten-free because you really have a gluten intolerance, then be sure to buy gluten-free oats because not all oats are gluten-free. We're going to need half a cup of applesauce. The applesauce that I used is this one here, unsweetened. And we're going to need half a cup of coconut oil. The one that I used is this one here. A lot of times you'll find it in liquid form. It's only because it melts at room temperature, but if it is liquid, be sure that you use it in solid form. So put it in the fridge if it's not solidified. And we're also going to need some water for the dough. Now we're just going to add everything together in a bowl. Your flour, your applesauce, and you might need a spoon to spoon all of it out. And the oil. We're going to start off by adding just a little bit of water. Okay, that didn't work. And blended it all together with your hand. So not blending, more like mixing. And we're going to keep doing this until we have a perfect dough ball. So, just to show you what consistency you're going to be looking at or looking for your dough. It's getting there. You see it's getting a little bit harder. Okay, so you see our giant dough ball. I probably played with it and knitted it for about 5 minutes until it was perfect, like this. Now what we're going to do, once you have your ball, we're going to put it in plastic wrap and we're going to put it in the fridge for about 15 minutes so it can solidify and rest for a little bit. That way it'll help it cook when we're ready to bake them. Okay, so we're going to be making 3 yummy flavors. We're going to be making the traditional strawberry Pop-Tart, the cinnamon Pop-Tart with a little coconut twist because we're going to put some coconut flakes, yay, and chocolate Pop-Tart. To start off, I mixed powdered sugar and almond milk. This one here, that's just the one I use. You can use any kind of almond milk. You can even make your own almond milk at home. And the ratio that I used to make just about a cup of it, actually like 3/4 cup of it, I used 1/4 cup of the almond milk and a whole cup and a half of the powdered sugar. I mixed it together until I got this little icing consistency. Now, to make our cinnamon Pop-Tart, our strawberry Pop-Tart is going to be really easy because we're just going to put jam on the inside like the traditional Pop-Tarts have. We're going to coat it with our icing and then we're going to use sprinkles to make it pretty. And for the cinnamon, we're going to mix some brown sugar. Now you can use any other kind of sugar you want. You can even use coconut sugar. I actually should have used coconut sugar, but I grabbed brown sugar already. So we're going to mix some cocoa powder. Now you can use whatever ratio you want for this, just as chocolatey as you want it or as sugary as you want it. And we're going to make sure it's thoroughly mixed and we're going to set that aside. That's for our chocolate one. We also have chocolate chips for our chocolate one. When you get your chocolate chips, just make sure that they don't have any milk in it, any butter in it, any dairy products, and so make sure they're vegan. And for the cinnamon one, we're going to use cinnamon. Now, just like the chocolate, use as much or as little as you want, depending on how cinnamony you want yours to be. That's going to be for the filling. So, you choose your preference of flavor. We're going to do the same. That looks a bit cinnamony. So we're going to add sugar. Mix it, mix it, mix it. And that is it for our cinnamon mixture. And we're still waiting on our dough to keep resting. It's taking a nap. Once that's done, we'll be ready to keep putting them together. Okay, so I bet you thought this lazy dough was done chilling, but it's not. We've left it in the fridge for 15 minutes already, and we're going to let it rest outside like this for another 10. Then we'll be ready to work with it. It's finally awake. What we're going to do to work with it is, first of all, unfold it. Then we're going to cut it in 4 pieces because it's a pretty big amount of dough. We're going to cut it in 4, just like so. And we're going to work with only 1/4 of the dough at a time. We'll keep the rest there. So now that you have your 1/4 of a dough, my cinnamon! Excuse that. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. And roll it out with a roller until you get a flat pizza looking dough. I guess that's what I think it looks like. Just be sure it's flat. I mean, it looks crumbly, but that's why we have the plastic wrap, so that it can contain itself. And you don't want it to be too thin, but you don't want it to be too thick either. We're just going to keep rolling and rolling until, let's see, this looks like a good thickness. I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit more. Okay, now that we have that, you see it's not very thick, but it's thick enough to hold through. Then we're going to take a ruler and we're going to mark our squares with a knife. You can make them however thick, however thin you want. I'm just aiming for the traditional Pop-Tart size, maybe mini versions of them. It'll be much easier if you have a cookie cutter, but I don't have one, so this is gonna have to do for now. Cut it in half. This one came out a little bit off, so okay, now that you have that, now that you have your outlines on your dough, you can go, we're going to cut out all the crusty edges, scoot it over to the side, cut out your crusty edges here, and just eyeball them as far as size goes. I really suggest that when you do this on your own, you use a cookie cutter, because it'll just make your life a whole lot easier. Also, if you have fancy cookie cutter shapes, you can make all kinds of different shaped Pop-Tarts. So that's one. And this one looks a little bit bigger than this one, but that's okay because we can always go in and cut the bottom one so that it matches the top one. Now we're going to take our cookie sheet. I have already greased my parchment paper, so it's all ready to go. And we're going to set our little Pop-Tart pieces. You see how cute they look? It's so much better than those boxed Pop-Tarts full of high fructose corn syrup and added coloring and all these names you can't even pronounce. So once you have that, remember that you're going to need a top and a bottom, so just account for that when you're making your square. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the remaining dough and we're going to mix it into a ball. Roll it, roll it. And once you have another little dough ball, you're going to repeat the same process. You're going to wrap it back up, put it back in its little home, and we're going to roll it again. Make another flat surface, and we're going to repeat this process with the remaining of this dough. Whatever you cut off, do the same. Put it in a ball, wrap it up, roll it up, cut your pieces, and we're going to do that with the rest of our dough. Okay, so now that I have all of my Pop-Tart shapes, now I do have them layers. Notice how it is 2 per Pop-Tart, obviously. We're going to make our first one. Excuse the fact that they're all different sizes. It's just that it was kind of hard to do it with a knife. Like I said, if you have a cookie cutter, please use a cookie cutter. Now we're going to start off by making a strawberry Pop-Tart. We're going to take only a little bit of strawberry jam, because then they will explode. Not explode, but the strawberry filling is going to rush out of your Pop-Tart if you put too much in there. We're going to seal it up. Okay, cut it off. Now that you have it closed, you're going to seal it with a fork, like so, pressing down on the edges, just to prevent some of that filling from coming out, and just so you can get more of that little Pop-Tart shape in there. Seal it. And lastly. Okay, now we're going to poke a few holes at the top just so that the pastry can breathe and it really won't explode. Okay, and now we're going to take our white icing and give it a little mix. Take just a little bit of it, put it on top, just like so. Yummy! And we're going to take some of our sprinkles. I'm going to sprinkle them like so. Okay. Now, let's move on to the next. I'm going to make one of each just to show you guys. I'm going to take that cinnamon mixture that we had earlier, and I'm going to add a little bit of the white icing filling that we made to it. I'm going to just go ahead and pour some in there to make it easier. And I'm going to give this a mix. Mix it all up. And you don't need much because the Pop-Tarts don't need much filling. Because like I said, otherwise it will spill out. It's going to be messy and ugly. I know because I've done it before. You live and you learn. So you take some of that cinnamon mixture and you put it in your tart. You take the other half and we're going to follow the same procedure. Okay, now for the chocolate one. For the chocolate, I've done the same thing that we've done to our cinnamon mixture. I took a little bit of our white cream filling and I added it to the chocolate powder mixture we made earlier. So I'm going to take a little bit of that, add it to the center of our Pop-Tart, like so. Put the top on and seal it procedurally, as we did to the rest. If that's even a word. Is it a word? Sorry guys. But you know what I mean. We're just gonna seal it up. Make it look like a legit Pop-Tart. Okay. And now that that's done, this is our cinnamon and this is our chocolate. What we're going to do, take a little bit of that white cream, put it on top, take a little bit for this one, put that on top, mix it like so. Now for the chocolate one, we're going to put just a few chocolate chips on top. Not too many. Also, if you want to add chocolate chip to the inside of the Pop-Tart, you most definitely can. It's only going to make it sweeter. And for the cinnamon one, we're going to take a little bit of brown sugar, just a tad bit, sprinkle it on top. Take a little bit of our coconut flakes that I was telling you about earlier and put those on top. And done. Now all that I'm going to do is make the remaining of the... Also, I had a lot of dough left, so just with the one I played with, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The whole recipe of the dough that we made will make about 12 to 14 Pop-Tarts. So that's a pretty good amount for your time and your money and your health, because at the end of the day, they're way, way better. Okay, so we're just finishing topping off the last 2 cinnamon coconut Pop-Tarts. Sounds so yummy. We'll put this one here. And we're going to pop these babies in the oven. Okay. The oven was already preheating, so we're going to leave that in for about 25 minutes, and we'll see them when they're out. Okay, so I've just taken them out of the oven after exactly 20 minutes, and as you can see, they look perfect. What we're going to do now is take some more of our icing. This is so optional, only because I want them to be a tad bit sweeter. We're going to put some on top, just like so, to all of them. Again, you can or you can't do this depending on how sweet you want your tarts to be. Yummy. And we're going to let them cool off and okay, that's it. And so now that I've let them cool down a little bit, I was going to let them cool off more, but they just look so good. So I'm going to try delicious chocolate one with my sister, who was my lovely assistant today, helping me record this video. So, that is so good. You guys have to try this. They're so much healthier than the store-bought ones. Guilt-free. Like, who does not want to have a guilt-free Pop-Tart for breakfast? Try it.